What is shaking out there to the squad and the crew? Welcome to another Ghost and Clover podcast, powered by our good friends over at European American Armory. Can't talk a whole lot about something today, but you might want to pay attention tomorrow for sure with EAA in mind. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about them here shortly. It is the 1st of October, October 1. October is here, Halloween month. Pretty awesome of 2023. And want to thank, of course, on behalf of Ghost and myself, all the Patreon patrons, the YouTube channel members. We are proud members also of, respectively, Ghost at the Self Defense Radio Network and myself, Firearms Radio Network. And yeah, going to get Ghost in here, get this thing kicked off. You never know what the topics might be, but a little later on, if you're filing in live, if you're chiming in, you get an opportunity to pick. You may have an opportunity, let's just say, to choose the last topic of the evening. We certainly don't know what topics each other have planned, so just adds to the fun. But anyway, get your butt in here, Ghost. What's up, man?
What's up? How are you doing?
I am honestly, I'm tired. I don't know what's going on, but I'm no longer a night owl for some reason.
I am still a night owl. I always have been, and I probably always will be. But yeah, I don't go to bed between 12 and 1 every night and wake up at about 5. So,
Right, right.
you know,
Well,
but
yeah.
I'm one of those people that, like, if I get more than like 5 hours of sleep, I feel like I don't know. I feel crappy the next day. I don't know why.
Right. I Yeah, I mean, even if I go to bed late, I'm not gonna say that I'm not a night owl. I mean, I certainly am not up till 2 and 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like for the most part, but man, I'm up. I mean, not as early as you, but for whatever reason, I was up at like 7:30 this morning. I just, I can sleep until 9 or so if I wanted to, but for whatever reason, my body's just like screw it, like an hour or two before the alarm goes off. So I'm a little bit concerned when the time changes or whatever, how is that gonna screw me up? Is that gonna affect me? I don't know. I mean, we'll see here.
Right.
In a few weeks, I think, or so.
November 5th. So
Yeah,
about a month. About a
yeah,
month. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just in time for Tulsa.
Chase says we were both night owls in Kansas. I think everybody was a night owl in Kansas. So
It's a little bit
for a
different when
couple of days.
you got stuff going on like that. Much
Yeah.
different situation,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Speaking of Kansas, TriggerCon was fun. We both got back and survived that,
Yeah.
and got a lot accomplished. I think a lot happened. It was pretty crazy. Um, what came out of there for it to be such a
Yeah.
smaller event.
I wasn't really sure what I was looking forward to going, but I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. I was like, okay, let's make the best of this and all that. Get there, and Friday afternoon, I was like, uh-oh. I remember telling people, I was like, we might be making history. We might be seeing the last TriggerCon because there was like nobody there. And then it started picking up a little bit. And then Saturday was busy. And to be honest with you, by the end of it, I thought the range day was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of it, I think we were all, me, you, and TJ were riding the bus back to the casino from the range. And I think we were all like, you know what? That was a pretty good weekend. Like, I enjoyed TriggerCon. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of TriggerCon, that was going to be my first topic tonight.
Really?
The show was good. We got to see a lot of cool stuff. Got to talk to a lot of friends and a lot of new people. But I was talking about Range Day, and we both put out range kind of compilation videos out there, if you will.
Good. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the best things that we shot at Range Day. What are some of the products that kind of stick out in your mind from Range Day?
One thing I would have mentioned, and I like to do this at shows because, when we go, because everybody focuses, it seems like, on the firearms and you know uh, the accessories, I guess, that you hang on or bolt to a firearm type thing.
Yeah.
Tell you one thing that I was super impressed with was those loading blocks, those magazine loaders,
Was it
gun
those the
nuts,
gun nuts?
gun
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and they were giving them to the booths or the exhibitors there at Range Day, and I can't tell you the number of exhibitors that were blown away, like saving their fingers and what have you.
Sure.
Um, a very cool little device. Are they necessary? Of course they're not. I mean, you could wear your thumbs out and whatever and load, but um, I did play around with them extensively, and so shout out for sure to those guys at Gun Nuts and that particular little product. It's a neat product. I think if you got somebody that has dexterity issues, a lady, older person for sure, something like that, or if you just want to use do a lot of magazine loading and you want to save the extra wear and tear and stress on your fingers and your hands, I
Right.
think that could be a cool little product.
Yeah. I noticed several of the booths using them, and I think you brought one home. I think maybe
I did.
Saturday from the show, and you're showing it to me. And I had seen it, but I didn't pay much attention to it. But yeah, I did notice several of the booths using it, and like you said, when you're having to load magazines for range day, you're going to try to use anything and everything available to you
All
to
right.
save your thumbs and everything else for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
but
that
yeah,
was
as far as firearms or accessories or things that you actually got to use at the range, does anything stick out in your mind that says, that was pretty cool?
yeah the shotgun being able to be the only one basically at range day to shoot that Spandau. What do they call that one? It's the trap, but it's um, not the high end one. It's the I want to say budget friendly, but the high end one was the one with the blued receiver and all that
Yeah.
crazy stuff. Forgot what they called that one now. The Spandau.
I don't know. You had a
Dang
video
it.
come up earlier today.
Yeah, it's definitely in the video that dropped. Yeah, about 2 hours ago or so now. Um, like the competition or Spandau standard competition standard maybe is what they call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
More on that later. I can tell you that. But right now, I did whatever. If you've seen the range day video or the video that dropped earlier today, the over under shotgun is in that video. Um,
Yeah. I
those are
really
those are really
liked
cool.
over at SDS. I really liked the Tokarev bullpup shotgun. The American flag was pretty cool, but I think we both highly enjoyed. I was hesitant, and you jumped right in and said, "You got to shoot this." The suppress shotgun that was pretty sweet. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie, that was fun to shoot
yeah,
for sure.
that'll make you giggle for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. I tell you, one
yeah.
of the coolest things I shot, and I shot many, many, many Strybogs, but they had the A3G, the 16-inch A3G, and I really enjoyed that a lot. It really was a good shooter,
Uh huh.
so I enjoy shooting that one. There was a bunch of things, obviously. Um, the Radical Defense, I enjoyed shooting their DMR. That
Uh
was
huh.
a really, really good
Right.
shooter. Really, really nice feeling. Snubs to the Spandau Premiere.
Maybe I think the Premiere is the. I think that's the high dollar one though. I want to say
Okay.
the
Yeah.
Premiere competition. I think this was like the standard competition or something. Um, yeah, I mean talking about being over there at the global booth with the Grand Power stuff and everything else
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
that Strybog 22.
Yeah.
And of course, like so many importers that we know, uh, they're having heck with our illustrious, wonderful government. We love you, big brother, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, they'll get those in the country. I hope. Um, because that was a fun one. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I was talking with Kat a few days ago about getting me that A3G, and she said, blah blah blah. He said it might be anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? She goes, yeah, it's just import stuff. And I was like, I understand.
Yeah.
It's been going on a lot. And it's really, so if you're out there and you're working, you're trying to look for a gun that's imported, and it should be around, but you can't find them anywhere. Please, 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 no matter which company, which importer it is, don't blame the importer, because right now our illustrious government and the bureaucracy that is has about 98% to do with that. So,
Hmm. Yeah. At least don't jump to an assumption or whatever,
yeah,
right? Like until you
contact
know.
them, let them find out,
Yeah.
and all that. And
Yeah.
if you can't get a hold of anyone, find one of your favorite creators, because there's a good chance that one of us knows that company, and we could probably tell you the inside scoop of what's really going on. Yeah, but don't just go ahead and start um,
Yep.
blaming companies and all that, because there's a lot going on right now that's it's not fair to a lot of other companies as well. So,
Right.
but yeah, I want to tell a story real quick. We told it on my show a little bit last week, but one of the coolest things about the range day, and you and I were sitting there in the quote unquote media tent, which was literally a pop up tent with a table, two chairs, and an empty ice cooler. But hey, it's we'll talk about that later. I saw one of the coolest things, and I had a little moment there, and the Barrett line was there, and it was a long, long line to shoot the Barrett. And mostly everyone wants to shoot the 50 cal, obviously. Long line, and this one guy comes out, and he's got a smile from ear to ear. They gave him his brass after he shot the 50s. We got to keep that and walk home with that. And he just had this like just genuine happy smile, and he walks over to his friend and is showing his buddy um, the brass, and just jumping up and down and having fun. And it came to me that we were sitting there. I wouldn't say we. I know I was. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. I was sitting around, not complaining, but a little bewitched that we had to. There was a couple of booths that I needed to get to before we left that had decent long lines and all of that. And we get to shoot all these cool things. And I would say, I mean, I don't know, Clover, what do you think? At least half the firearms that were at the range, they were suppressed. So it was a little
Oh
like
yeah.
suppressed fest almost, which is
Oh
great.
yeah.
But we get to shoot this stuff all the time. And luckily, doing what we do, we get to go to some really cool private range days and stuff like that. And I sit there and I said, I think not. I mean, I'm not. I do, and I think a lot of people do take for granted the cool stuff that we get to shoot all the time with these range days, these events, and all that. And it made me think, because this guy, that might be this guy's only his first range day he's ever been to. It might be the only one he ever goes to, and for him to have the opportunity to possibly shoot a Barrett 50 cal for the first time and only time in his life. And to see that at an event, it's kind of cool. It makes you just kind of appreciate what we get to do quite frequently, Clove. That not saying take it for granted, but sometimes we take it for granted almost, and it's like, man, that's it's pretty cool to see some guy
Yeah.
off
I
the
mean,
street
how
that gets to shoot a 50 cal maybe for the only time in his life.
before that happened, I can remember we were sitting there. So what you're talking about occurred just before you had that epiphany, because we
Yeah,
sit down, and literally the Barrett line, it was on the second floor of this building, right?
yeah,
Barrett was. So it went all the way, we weaved all the way up the stairs to the second floor,
yeah,
and then was another easily 25, 30 yards worth of line
yep.
after that, and moving very, very slow. And I
Very
actually had
slow.
made a statement, and we were talking about that before that happened. That there's
Yeah,
we're not going to Barrett. Like, ain't no
yeah.
creator gonna stand in that kind of line, blah blah
Nope.
blah.
I'm not going to wait
And then
half an hour for one shot.
right, right, and then what you're talking about happens. but yeah, totally. From the kids that were allowed to be on there. I mean, I've seen ages.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure. I got to think. What preteen age? Not I didn't see any itty bitty kids, but I would
I
say
saw like a 10, 11-year-old probably
yeah,
once. And the
yeah.
cool thing about that one is, um, I don't know how many he had, but he had a bag, it wasn't a Crown Royal bag, but it was kind of one of those kind of pouches, the little drawstring. And he was showing his dad all the brass, and I guess he was taking brass from every gun that he shot that day. And I thought that's kind of cool, like kids keeping
Yeah.
brass,
Put it in a little shadow box or something. Maybe that could be neat.
Yeah, kind of
Um,
a kind of range day. Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Speaking of suppressed, I'm glad you went there because that's one of the things I was going to mention is that there was so much that was suppressed, and we actually had
Yeah,
this conversation I think privately. But one of the things that is I'm a little bit jealous about. A lot of the cans now, obviously the booths that they had their own cans, they were running their own cans, but the exhibitors that did not build suppressors. They weren't manufacturers. Almost every
yeah,
one of them were running dead air, were they not? And
yeah,
and
yeah.
especially
A
on
lot of
all the
that.
rimfire, that dead air mask. And I'm like, oh, I want a dead air mask so bad. Like
Yeah,
I got to get with B Team, and we got to get that hooked up because
we got
uh,
to get B team. Yeah,
the mask is
for
such a
sure.
sweet 22 suppressor, and it's obvious. It was so glaringly obvious how good dead air has to be in so many of the booths there at range day.
Yeah. Now Slav out there was wanting to know, did people have to pay to shoot? Was it free? I don't know. It was obviously free for media. I would
It
have
was
to
included with the
believe that there
pass.
was. Yeah, but if you didn't go to the show, it probably was some kind of a fee. But I don't know. I don't
Well, if
know.
you didn't go to the show, I don't know that you. I think you would had to have registered to go to the show, whether you went or
Oh, you
not.
couldn't just pay when you get there or not? I didn't know if you could or
I,
not.
yeah, I don't think you couldn't pay at the range. I don't think right because they were
Yeah,
just dropping
I
people
didn't
off the
see
bus.
anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it would have to been a ticket package, I would assume, for the show for the general public.
yeah.
Either you do the 1 day, the 2 day show floor, or maybe there was I don't know. I can't tell you, but I've got to
Yeah.
assume there was some type of packages available probably for general public.
Yep. 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 As Clover mentioned, this episode is powered by EAA and European American Armory. And as he
Yeah.
also mentioned, there is something that we cannot talk about today, but tomorrow, bright and early, maybe even before the sun comes up, you might start seeing some videos and some announcements on EAAcorp.com and on mine and Clover's and maybe a couple other channels. But one thing that we can talk about is something that we both got in the last couple of days, and the wait was definitely worth it.
Oh, I haven't got mine yet, so
Oh, you have not gotten yours
so
yet. Oh,
Mike
I picked
Mike
mine up.
out there. I know what you're fixing to say, and Mike out there
Yeah,
said he was jealous, and I'm thinking, well, I am a little bit too. No, mine. When I went to the gun shop, now don't get me wrong, I picked up several from the gun shop Saturday. It was that good of a
yeah,
TriggrCon, like we talked about. But
right.
um, the one you're about to talk about, it had not come in off the truck just yet. So
Ah,
hopefully I will pick that up Tuesday. I'm hoping. But
well,
anyway, go ahead.
we get a call Thursday saying there might be something headed towards our way. And sure enough, Friday afternoon, I get a call from my gun shop saying, "You've got something here." And I said, "Well, which one is it?" 'Cause I was expecting, I wasn't expecting that day, but I am expecting several things. And I said, "Which one is it?" And he said, um, "It looks like a double stack 1911. I was like, "Oh, baby, 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 baby." So
Can only be one thing.
can we one thing though? The Gerson EAA Gerson Witness 2311 is
Oh yeah.
home. It is here. It
The
is
carry? Is that the
amazing.
carry or the compact?
It
Which
is.
one?
It's the C. It's the C.
The
Yeah.
C. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I put a little short up today, just kind of overlooking it and all that. It is. It is awesome.
I like you racked yours from the optic with one hand,
Uh-huh.
and I'm thinking, oh my God, like I can't wait to feel the slide and the everything on it
Oh,
because
it's butter, man.
for you to be able to do that as easily as you did it in that short, it's like, oh
Yeah.
my God. And I'm not surprised, but I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God. Now,
No, it's
did yours come with an optic or did you put
it
that
did.
optic on it?
It did. No, that's the
It
optic that
came with
comes
the
on it.
optic.
It came with
Nice.
it.
Okay.
Now I got the match. I'm not sure if you're getting the match or the ops. I got the match, which is without the accessory rail. But the cool thing is, I think it's the coolest part. Yeah, the gun itself is badass. ATF got serial number 1. Clover and I got serial number 2 and 3. That's pretty amazing. The guy, the guy at the gun shop, he pulls up and he's like, hey man, he's like, yeah, and he goes, he's writing down his thing and all that, and he's like,
Yeah.
Is this serial number 3? And I was like, yeah.
Yep.
He's like
Yep.
3, and I was like, yeah. He's like, holy, I've never seen a serial number that low. And I was like, yeah, the ATF got number 1, and me and a buddy of mine got 2 and 3. And so I think I'm going to name mine the Intimidator, like Dale Earnhardt, number 3. It was pretty cool. I was like, holy cow, yeah, we got serial number, the 3rd production model ever of that gun is sitting in my house, and you're going to have number 2.
It's kind of interesting. You got 3. 3 is Trey. Your name is Trey. It just works.
I didn't even think about that. Wow, I'm not that smart.
Right. I just thought about that. It just hit me that, like, yeah, isn't that kind of neat?
Yeah. Slav out there says your tripod request fell through the cracks. Just saw it. You'll have it within 2 weeks. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you very much. There you go. We'll talk off air. Yeah, I have not shot it. I've shot the 2311 many times over the last year, but I haven't shot this one yet. But man, I tell you what, just dry firing that trigger, like I said, that slide is unreal. I mean, everything about that gun is damn near perfect. It really is. It is incredible. So it's going to be fun to shoot that.
If it's basically any other of the 1911s, just double stack, then yeah, it's tight without a doubt.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And you guys are talking about a double stack 1911 for that price. I mean, this is the one that everyone, hey, raise hell, praise Dale. That's right. That's the raise hell, praise Dale 3. It's unbelievable. It really is. And like I said, we've been lucky to shoot 2311 several times. Yeah. And
Mike out there's got a lot of questions, and so you're gonna have to just put it on the back burner for a little while, Mike.
Mags?
Like he literally picked it up like yesterday, and I haven't even picked mine up yet. So
so stand by for the standby.
Yeah, chill just a little bit, bro.
I mean, I think I've got in a few different range settings where I've been able to shoot one of the prototype models and stuff that they've had at range days. I mean, I've shot probably 20 rounds total, maybe 30 rounds total. It's really hard to kind of give you an idea. Is it better than a staccato? You're talking to a person that doesn't think that staccato is all that it's built up to be. So that could be a dangerous question.
I think staccato.
I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not at all, but I don't think that they are the bee's knees either.
I feel like staccato is the Springfield, basically, of the 1911 world, in that staccato really does vomit stuff to a lot of big time creators to try to get clout, and so
yeah, I mean, they're good guns, but they are definitely not. Yeah, I mean,
I liked staccato better before they were staccato. I think, quite honestly,
when they're like not STI, well known. You mean,
like STI.
Yeah, but like before they were like really well known.
Basically, yeah.
And that's like okay.
It seems like they got bigger. It's like all of a sudden now everybody fanboys out over them, and I don't know. It's strange.
No, I understand. But yeah, like I said, thank you to European American Army, EAA Corporation. Like I said, tomorrow morning, bright and early, when you first wake up, there is a new product that no one knows about. Well, some of us know about, but we're under NDA. But
I've got a feeling
tomorrow,
that they didn't even tell Omar, because had they told Omar, everybody would know by now. So,
well, you didn't hear the story.
oh,
You didn't hear the story?
apparently not.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was Omar's fault this time, but there was a publication that ran an article about it like Friday afternoon
Oh
instead
well,
of.
it was definitely Omar's fault then. It's
um.
always Omar's fault. So, and that's
So
okay.
yeah,
I hear he's going to Shot 24, and he will pay for
great.
all of those mistakes come Shot
Yes, he will.
24. The
Yeah,
target
it's
has been set. He's been weighed. He's been measured. He's been found wanting. And
he's been found wanting.
that's right.
Correct. Yeah, go check out eaacorp.com or in any and all of their social medias in the morning. You will have a big announcement, and go follow mine and Clover's. I don't know. Are there other people that are involved in the NDA?
I'm sure.
Content creators? I'm sure there are. Go check out some of your favorite, and you'll start seeing some videos tomorrow morning from us on a new
I'll
gun
drop
that
at
is.
7 Eastern.
I think
is when
mine's
I've got it.
dropping at 8 Eastern. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So,
Good deal.
so tomorrow morning you'll be able to see the new gun that we've had an opportunity to work with and all of that. We get to be part of the launch, which is kind of cool. So yeah. All right, Clove, you got your topic, bud.
Man, you're killing me.
Well, I'll give you a few. I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Observer went out there, says the Gerson 2011 dropping. I love my Gerson 1911. The 2311. I picked mine up at the gun shop yesterday. Clover will probably pick his up maybe tomorrow. The first batch have been shipped to some of the distributors and all that. So you should start in the next week or so, start seeing them available. The Witness 2311, and it is beautiful.
So Chase out there, by the way.
Yep. Thank you, Chase, for that.
He says same mags as Staccato STI pattern. So there you go for those that were asking, and Chase would definitely know.
You would.
You know what? I came into this saying that I wanted to talk TriggrCon as well.
Oh yeah,
Because
okay.
we had a panel, obviously on your show Tuesday.
Yeah.
It went down some rabbit holes. It did some other
It
things.
did.
You know that I like to hear myself talk, and I didn't get to hear myself talk nearly as much as I thought I should have on Tuesday. So I'm going to take the opportunity, and we're not gonna go the race day route, but I'm going to talk show floor route.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and just a few of the things. We can talk about things we've seen. We can talk about
Mm-hmm.
hanging out to other creators, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that I had heard, we got back, and I heard from I heard from one person that was there, and they said, "Man, like all the gun tubers were there," and I'm thinking,
Really?
that was my thoughts. Was like, really? Because no, they weren't. Um, how many do you? How
All the
many?
important ones were there, though. Let's just be
This is
honest.
true. All the ones that matter were there.
That's right.
Um, how many do you think? Seriously, how many media do you think were there? Like, was there even 100?
I don't think so. I don't know. Between 50 and 70, probably at the most.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't think it was triple digits. I really don't.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I will say this: as far as being media at TriggerCon, it was pretty nice. You could get in and out. You could have a conversation. You get your filming done. There was a crowd, but not a huge enough crowd, and a very very high ceiling in that arena that echoes were not an issue to where audio was decent at a show.
Lighting
Um,
sucked because of that, though. That's
lighting
the
was
drawback.
terrible. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said, as the weekend went on, I started enjoying it more and more and more. Um, I don't know how many vendors were there. Let's say roughly 100 or so, maybe a little bit more. But and I went by all of them. I didn't stop at all of them. I stopped at probably 3/4 of them and had a conversation with people. And I get to meet some new cool people, new brands that I hadn't never talked to before. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like I said, when we got doing that weekend, we were in the bus heading back to the casino, and I really enjoy. I was like, I'm definitely, I'll definitely come back to this.
Yeah. Well, I got lost that first night. We got there on a Thursday, and I finally show up outside in a little smoking area, and you were out there, and of course, tactical considerations and Fit and Fire and Snob and all of them were out there, and the reason I was running late is we kind of sat down on the end of the table at the dinner there with several folks, Smash Time and Mark,
Dan,
Fit and Fire Mark, and yeah, Dan, the firearm guy. And so I had never, except for in some passing, right?
yeah,
The firearm guy had never really, had any type of conversation with him. And honestly, him and Mark were gabbing a
yeah,
lot at that dinner. We're talking Fit and Fire for those. It's tough when we talk about this, and we're talking about this, and the viewers out there, the listeners are listening, because we say Mark or we say Mike or we say whoever. It's like, who are they talking about? Um, but I'll try to correct myself if I go down that road. But anyway, he cornered me as I was leaving there in the casino, and we had a great conversation for a while. And I'd never, like I said, other than just in passing, hey man, what's up? How are you? That type of thing. So there's something to be said about um, something to be said about event. Now, I don't like it when we go to events, or I don't like events that are specifically set up to produce no return, right?
yeah,
Like events that
yeah,
are set up to just hang out. And I really don't like it when quote unquote creators or influencers go to these events with that purpose as their ultimate goal. Like, what'd you
yeah,
accomplish? Oh, I got to run around and hang out with so and so. Well, that ain't accomplishing nothing. Like, let me ask the question again, right? However, when you have the after events, right, or in this
yeah,
case, it was the night before, uh, where you get to talk to each other and that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Because we've said it before, and I'll say it again. The viewers and the listeners out there, you guys and gals get so fooled by so many people, right? Both ways.
yeah, yeah,
That you see folks online and you think, oh man, they're so cool, and they're just absolute d bags in real life. And then the opposite can be true, right?
I don't
That
appreciate you talking about me like that in public.
right,
Yes, ma'am.
exactly. No, I guarantee you, with Ghost, what you see is what you're gonna get. Unless you get him drunk, and then you're gonna see something way crazy. But
More
anyway,
fun. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. But it works the opposite way too, where you see somebody
yeah,
and oh, I don't like so and so, I don't watch their videos. They're blah blah blah. And they're the nicest people you
yeah,
could ever want to meet, right? And
yeah.
so it's that Hollywood perception and that Hollywood effect. It's the same way. How many actors do you hear that about, right? That have you for years. I know I've met over the years quite a few actors, and
Yeah,
some of them super popular that are just absolute horrible people, and some that
sure.
are not really liked in the Hollywood circles and by a lot of the folks out there, because of maybe characters they portray on TV or whatever it might be, or
Yeah,
or on the big screen. But then are the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. I mean, walking down the street,
yeah,
just everyday people, right? And that same kind of rule I think applies. And so that's where it's really cool um, is to really to meet these folks and get a feel
yeah.
of who's real and who's not, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And we
Maybe for
deviated again. we,
yeah,
we were going to talk about the show floor, and got more off on the creator side. But you know what? It's
yeah,
our show. We can do what we want.
that's right. Now, mandatory carry ass out there when I'm planning on doing a collab with Mark, and Mark and I've been talking about doing collabs for 3 or 4 years at range day, at shot show and stuff. It just never seems to work out. But he and I had a really good. It wasn't just me; it was several of us. But we had probably an hour-long conversation. Mark just bought some property up in Wyoming, and that's something I'd love to be interested in doing one day. Is I love Wyoming. We talked about that. Then we started talking about, we're both into the long range stuff now and all of that. And the conversation ended up going, hey, like, why don't you go to Wyoming sometime? We're going to be up there, because he doesn't live up there full time. He's still developing it and all of that. But he says, why don't we go up there sometime and we'll shoot some cool stuff, because he's backs up to BLM. He's got plenty of property to shoot.
Oh, his dad has one of, if not the most amazing collection of firearms to like ever exist. Yeah. Seriously.
And
a lot of fun stuff. They give you a rash, Ghost, but cool stuff for real.
Going to Wyoming with Fit and Fire and just shooting really cool stuff, and hanging out in Wyoming and all that. And there's some possibilities that he and I started talking quite a bit back and forth the last year or two. And Mark's a really, really super great guy. Really genuine, really down to earth, really kind of a caring guy. But yeah, the collab with Mark will probably, that could happen up in Wyoming, which I think would be really fun to do up there, especially if it's cold. There's really kind of some cool stuff we could do in the cold weather with long range stuff, Let's get back to the show though. We did.
On the floor. Did you ever play around with the piece of plastic that goes on the pistol?
Negative. I didn't even want to stop by. I didn't want to even be seen, just in case someone was filming and I was in front of that booth. I didn't want any part of that product.
Right. I think Jay didn't Reese Firearm Blog, didn't he? I think he did a video on it. If you want to check that out.
James did it, and I think he started out the video going, I'm not saying this is legal. I'm not saying this is illegal. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just doing a video showing that this is something here, and you guys make your mind up. But you can tell even from the beginning, he wasn't too sure if he wanted to touch the thing,
Right. But of course, he was going around. I have been seeing a lot of stuff pop up, from it's a different channel that their stuff from the shows is on, and I can't remember the channel, but it's TFB shows or TFB events or something. And I'm not real sure they didn't cover every single booth there. So kudos to the work ethic, I guess, for that. But it was
James was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the thing. You can say what you want to about, the firearm blog and all of that. He's one of those people that when I first started kind of watching, or at least knowing the firearm blog years ago, I was like, I don't know. Right. And then you're around them, and I have not had a long conversation with him. I've had a brief conversation with him at SHOT Show a couple of years ago, but I can watch him work, and I can respect the work ethic. There's a reason why everything seems to work out. Good things happen to people that bust their tail. He's very genuine, very, very genuine. The guy came up to him, and another creator came up and thanked him. I'm not sure exactly what he did for him. I never caught that. He's like, hey, I'm blah 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 with so and so and so and so, and he goes, I really want to thank you for helping me out. I really do appreciate it. And he looked at him, and he shook his hand, and he looked him straight in the eye and said, I'm happy to help anyone that deserves it. And I thought that was pretty genuine. That was pretty nice. So I don't know James personally. I mean, like I said, I've had a quick conversation, this, that, and the other, but I can tell you that watching him work, he's a professional, he's a pro. And he seems pretty genuine. So he was everywhere, and doing a good job covering the show.
Yep. Now, as far as going into this, what was your sort of, let me back it up. Normally we go into shows, and we'll talk about this later on, I'm sure, as we get start preparing for SHOT Show and all of that. But we have our to-do list. We have the things we want to get done and the things we want to accomplish. And then inevitably, this is just a part of going and making these events. So if you're a creator, aspiring creator, you're looking to turn on the camera, by the way, do that. Make these events. You'll know what I'm talking about. But you get there, and like after the first day, your list is out of the well, it's out of the window. It's on
Yeah.
fire. There's holes all
Yeah.
in it. Like you got to bob and weave and improvise, adapt, and overcome. But are there things? There's always regrets when we get home
Sure.
because of that, because your game plan inevitably falls apart. It's just because of the
Sure.
unexpected and all the crazy things that can happen. Um, are there any regrets? Did you get home and you thought, man, I didn't talk to that person, or I didn't do
Nope.
this, or I didn't do this video, or is there anything like that you went through once you got home?
Not one, and I think one of the reasons why was there wasn't a ton of vendors there. It was a small enough show that you could go through that show 10 times over the weekend, 20 times over the weekend if you wanted to. So it's one of those things where it wasn't like you had to bust tail just to try to see a third of the show. You could see the show 10 times a day, literally walk the entire show 10 times in a day if you wanted to. And so no, I never, I don't have any regrets at all, because I think everyone that I wanted to talk to, not only did I talk to, but I had very fruitful conversations and long conversations, not just the elevator speech, because it wasn't that big and there wasn't an enormous amount of people and all of that. So no, I do not have any regrets. As a matter of fact, I am overly pleased with how the weekend went. Like I said, I went into TriggerCon with zero expectations. I didn't have a game plan because I didn't know how it was going to be. But I have no regrets, not even one little letter.
Yeah, I tend to feel the same way. I think. I thought for a second there. I thought, wow, I really missed an opportunity, and I kind of felt bad because of Rob Squared, the two Robs with Lionheart. Like I didn't feel like I paid them enough attention. And of course, they're friends of ours. We've known them for a while and
Yeah,
whatnot, and
yeah.
they're doing a great. The Vulcan is freaking amazing.
The
They're doing some
Vulcan
great
is pretty
work.
awesome. Yeah,
And I just didn't feel like I gave them enough of my time on the show floor and whatever. Um, and so that was something that bugged me in the back of my mind for some reason. And then I realized we spent some pretty quality time with them, maybe more quality time with them than anybody else other than EAA
yeah,
at Range Day. And we
yeah, for
actually
sure.
talked feedback. We talked
Yep.
Vulcan, what we
They
liked,
taught me
what we
how to
didn't
shoot an
like.
optic on a handgun.
This is true. This is true. Um, but yeah, we actually talked. They asked for feedback. We gave them some feedback. We back and forth about explain what we were talking about with the very minor tweaks. There's not a lot to pick on honestly with the Vulcan, but um, very minor tweaks. So that's why I say initially there may have been a few things, but as I step back and I think about it, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think it's certainly unlike any other show, event, whatever that I think I've been to in that regard. That you come home and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm pretty darn happy with that. I can't really put my finger on any type of a negative or a regret, and I wished I had done this instead of that.
Yeah, and we tend to forget, not to forget, but you know, we were outside for half an hour with Media Rob, um, having a smoke and all of that, and that's the best because you have a one on one at that point. Having that time, and it's cool when you now have companies seeking out, and yes, I understand that smoking is disgusting to some people and all that, but you'll quickly learn if you get into the creator world and
So
you go to these big shows. Even if you don't smoke, you better go out to the smoking section, because
so
that's where the
yeah,
magic happens. But when you start having people calling you and texting you saying, "Hey, when are you going to go smoke?"
yeah,
Um, you don't necessarily have to go and talk to them as much because you're already on that basis, and we could call and text Rob anytime we wanted to. And so I was more interested in meeting some of the companies that I had never talked to or ever heard of before.
right. So backstory on that, the smoking with Rob is I turned the corner day one, and you were down. I don't remember what booth you were in, but you were down there talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Breek, maybe, weren't you? Breek Arms,
I
maybe,
was
where you
talking with
were at.
Greek for a while, but I don't know if that was
And
but yeah, I did
yeah,
talk to
I
Greek
don't
for a
remember,
while.
but anyway, so I walked by it, and they're on the
The
same
jar
aisle.
heads at Greek, my buddies, jar heads at Greek. No, that was Matterhorn. Never
That
mind.
was
But yeah, I was with
Matador,
Greek.
yeah.
Yeah, Matador,
So
Matador.
Breek was just down the aisle from
Yeah,
Lionheart, but I turned the
yeah,
corner and Rob, we'll call him Rob One, I guess. But anyway,
yeah,
Rob C, I think it is, right? Yeah, I think so. Anyway,
yeah.
Rob like, hey man, he's like, yeah, I need a smoke. I'm like, well, let's go. And
Well, let's go.
he's like, where's Trey? I was like, I don't know, but I can find him. And he's like, I don't have any smokes. And I'm like, well, I'm sure he does. I said, unless you want to smoke a pipe,
His
I
flight
can't help
was
you.
yeah, his flight was late, so he would literally just gotten there, and
Yeah,
he didn't feel like asking the Uber to stop at a gas station, so
get
he
smokes. Yeah.
just get smoked. So he just went
So
straight to the
I
show.
so I trucked around and found Ghost. I'm like, hey, Rob needs a smoke.
Like, let's go. I got him. I
Like,
got him.
let's do it.
Um,
So yeah, that's that's one of the things that we talk about. I mean, um, there's just something about it. Seems like every show, like, and I hate to use the old trope or whatever, like behind the high school gym, all the cool kids are hanging out smoking, or I hate to use that smoke because you're right, smoking. I get it, it's disgusting. Okay, I got you, but
yeah.
there's something about the smoking section, man. I'm telling you, like whether you
Well, I
smoke or
think
not, like you're
people
missing
drop their
out.
guard down. So
Yeah,
you're talking. You hear us talking about the B team with Dead Air, and that was a couple years ago at Shot Show that
yeah,
Clover and I were outside smoking, and a guy from Dead Air had a Dead Air shirt on, but he had his badge turned backwards. And I said, "Oh, you work with Dead Air?" He goes, "Yeah, but I'm just the B team. I'm just the kind of guy that that needs something. I'll go get some coffee, or I'm the runner or whatever." Like, it must be pretty cool working with him. It's like, oh yeah. And then he just started telling stories, and he was truly one of the funniest people I've ever been around. And we're like, well, we're getting ready to go and meet up. We got a meeting with someone up there at Dead Air, and he's, oh, okay, well, we'll see you later. So we walk up there, Dead Air, I think it was over at Caesars or whatever. And we walk over to Dead Air, and they've got the TV station
lights
there, or
and
the
cameras all over him.
lights and cameras and all that. And the B team guy that we were talking to is being interviewed. I'm like, then we see his badge, and it's the actual owner
Yeah,
of Dead Air. And when we obviously knew who he was. I didn't know what he looked like, and so he had his badge turned around for a reason. He had his badge turned around. But every now and then, every from that point on, like every time we see him, what's up, B team? And he starts cracking. We were at the media mixer the other night in Kansas, and we said, B team came out there, and people like look at us weird when we call him B team, because you're talking to like a pretty well known guy in this industry, and you're like, B team. I'm like, it's inside joke and all that. And then we said, hey, start telling some jokes. And I said, you should do a stand up routine. And he goes off on a stand up routine. It just had us. Just everyone just crying, laughing out there. But that's the kind of cool stuff. In the smoking section, people let their guard down a little bit. They feel like they're away from the booth, so they're not having to work, and you actually can have a conversation. It's also much more quiet than it is inside the show. So, I mean, whether or not you smoke or not, I think that the outdoor smoking section at shows and events are a pretty important place to at least go and witness every now and then, because you never know who you're going to meet and have a great conversation with.
never do. So yeah, we've got to
Yeah, man. Yeah.
we got to move along. We've got to get somebody out there in the audience. I don't know who, but somebody to pick our final topic of the night. So for everybody out there, hopefully you are caught up, you are live. This segment going to be brought to you by our friends over at Taurus and OMG. We'll talk a little bit more about Taurus here in a second. We're gonna draw this name though. You've got we'll give you a little bit of time to throw a topic out there for us, and while we're waiting on that, we'll talk a little bit about Taurus. So let's spin the wheel. What do you think?
Let's do it. No whammies. No whammies. No
Well, there probably isn't, unless it
whammies.
picks you or I.
Right. Observer
Observer
1.
1. So it's been a while since I've seen anything from Observer 1 in the chat. If you're out there, though, Observer 1, we'll give you 30 seconds to a minute, somewhere in that range. Give us a topic, please, out there in
Any
the chat.
random topic that won't get us kicked off
Whatever,
YouTube or the
dude.
podcast.
It
Yeah.
can be food, it can be music, it can be movies, it can be TV, it can be pretty much
It could be Taylor
anything.
Swift dating Travis Kelce, which I am sick of already.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
about all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Taurus, Heritage, Rossi. Speaking of
Yeah.
Heritage, did you see
Yeah.
that Heritage is doing lever actions now?
I did not. No. Please tell me more.
Yeah, I can't tell you much more than that. Working on
No.
getting my
Okay.
hands on one. I can tell you that much, but
I'm sure you are.
I've done a lot of work with Heritage in the past, and I'm hoping we sort of lost our really good media contact, unfortunately, with
We did.
Taurus and Heritage and all that. Thank God they sponsored the podcast before that happened, I guess. So
Right. Right. Yeah.
kinda, we got the money. That's all that matters.
Maybe that's why he did that, because he knew he was leaving. No, I'm just kidding. He wouldn't do
It's
that.
good. Hey, well, if he'd have done
Yeah.
that, maybe we should ask for more money in that instance. Is all
Right.
I'm saying.
Right.
We're gonna spin this again. I haven't heard
Yep.
from Observer, so we're gonna spin this again. We can't waste all night. But yeah, have seen that, and then another thing that I think is really cool. I've got the Gizzard Gary,
Wizard
and
Gary.
Gizzard should be somewhere around out there. So
He's
Gizzard.
always around somewhere.
Now Gizzard could give us the topic of best mixed drinks, or how many shots does it take?
Yeah.
There's no telling. But
How to act in a casino in Kansas.
how to pick up two chicks at one time?
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
lots of topics Gizzard could come up with. Got about 30 seconds, a minute, something like that, Giz. If you're out there, or we'll spin it again.
Gizzard Jerry out there. Come on.
So, another thing, and then I'll let you rip on Taurus and stuff, but another thing,
Yeah.
I tend to gravitate more to the Heritage line, right?
Yeah. Sure.
And so I've got the Barkeep and the Barkeep boot. And one of the complaints I've seen, those videos do really well. One of the complaints that I see on that a lot is how they don't have the ejectors. And it's because the barrels are so short, right? And Gizzard did give us a topic. So as soon as we get through with this, we will move on. But there's not enough barrel length, right, to put the ejectors and stuff on there. And so you've got to, use the little push tool to push the brass out, of course, and people don't like that. But Heritage, and I didn't even realize this until, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, they're actually making a 3.5 inch now.
Oh, wow.
Rough Rider, which is just long enough to put that extractor in, which I think is really cool. It bridges that gap, right, for the folks that want as short as they can possibly go, right? It kind of bridges that gap of whether or not you have that ejector, which I think is pretty cool. So.
Yeah. I started becoming a fan a few years ago when I got the G3, and the G3 I thought, and I still think is a great option for a budget friendly handgun. Someone that's maybe new to guns. It's a phenomenal gun. The GX4 has taken it to higher levels. The GX4 carry now is really good, and I've shot it. Obviously, it's not going to be something that I am looking for, or I look forward to having one day, as I probably won't. But I will say that the TX22 is extremely popular, and I've never heard anyone speak ill about the TX22. So I don't know. I know that you shot it probably as much as I have, but you're more of a 22 LR connoisseur. What do you think of the TX22 from what your experience is?
I've been asked that a bunch of times, and I don't like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, I think it's reliable. I also think it's ugly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad firearm, right? But I have my opinions on a lot of different firearms that I just, one reason or another, just do not like. I don't trust, and I'll One day I may be proven wrong, right?
Yeah.
One day I may wake up to it, but right now I don't. Rim lock is an issue,
Mm,
and going with a non-single stack magazine on rimmed cartridges,
yeah.
I've never understood why you would go that route. Um, rimfire cartridges have all sorts of inherent issues, or rimfire firearms have all types of issues based off of the fact that they're firing rimfire ammunition.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, why companies play into and ignore, you know, the those issues, the common things that tend to go wrong because it's rimfire, is
Sure.
beyond me. And and I get you out there, you're like, oh, well, I want more than 10 rounds and blah. Okay, well, I get it. Well, maybe go shoot a 9mm or go shoot something else. That would be my suggestion of that. There's a reason that 10 rounds was like the limit for so long. It's because of the cartridge. It has nothing to do with technology couldn't
Right.
develop a double stack or something like that, right? And I'll
Right.
give you a good example of a similar issue. Is when you get into the semi-auto world with 22 Magnum and 17 HMR. There's been very few successful, quote unquote, successful attempts, right, to make that
Yeah.
happen. And that's a combination of a couple things. Pressures being one, of course, with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also feeding, that cartridge is another issue. So, um, yeah, I'm not a fan. Like I said, it's more of a personal thing than it
Yeah.
is hate on the firearm itself, right? Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's where I stand. But yeah, if you like it, I think it could be a decent little fun handgun for you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Gary did come up with a topic. He said, "What is
He did.
our favorite memory or time or Saturday night was interesting, but what was our favorite moment of
Favorite
Saturday
moment from
night?
Saturday night at the casino. That was the Kansas Star Casino, and
The Kansas Star Casino. We kind of took
which
over
was
this one
awesome.
section for every night for a few
Did.
nights. Now I want to say this. I know he says our favorite moment from Saturday night at the casino. I want to start this conversation by telling you my least favorite moment of the entire weekend. Saturday, it happened Saturday night, not at the casino. I'm a big fan of live music, and we had a media mixer. I saw the worst, the worst house band in the history of house bands.
Bad
Um,
karaoke would have been better.
Terrible karaoke. It got to
Yeah,
the point where
yeah,
at least half
seriously.
the crowd ended up outside, whether they smoked or not, and we started having our conversations out there. It was bad, really, 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 really bad. Favorite night, a favorite moment of Saturday night. I got to meet Lil instead of Lil Wayne. I got to meet Lil Winona. That was kind of fun. There's not one moment for me. It was a really great night. Hanging out with a bunch of friends. We got to get a couple friends of ours a little tipsy that usually don't do that. So we got to have fun with that. Honestly, it was just being there with everybody and everyone just really having a great time together as friends. So the best night was watching
Chase, I'm
Sarge, OB, and John arguing over something that was so meaningless.
they were, and
Oh,
they.
oh, he's right. He is right. Yes, he is.
So
I forgot
Chase,
about
I was
that.
gonna say Chase out there has one in the chat, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
read it for the.
I will. I'll say the
So,
last part. The bathroom acoustics. We
oh
were
yes,
not aware that where the
yes,
tables that we kind of confiscated every night. When you walked into the bathroom, it amplified, and you could hear everything that we were saying all weekend, apparently.
you
And
could.
maybe
Yeah.
that's why we got some interesting looks from people. I don't know.
Well, I can narrow it down. I think I can narrow it down to one, and I'm gonna preface mine or whatever too, just by addressing Gizzard and going that I love you. Um, so don't get butt hurt over what I'm about to say. But Gizzard is like a jovial scamp, right? Like he's
Mm.
really laid back, go with the flow, like not causing any trouble, like you know what I mean? You know, because
Until
you
he
hung
gets a
around.
couple drinks or 9 drinks in him,
So so to hear this come out of Gizzard's mouth, I nearly fell out of my chair.
Doing what he
And
was
it
on the
and it
snob.
and it oh my god. And this was for me was the best part of the night. It's a part I'll always remember. It completely changed my perception, at least what Gizzard was capable of doing. And I wish he would do this like in real life and not have to have a bunch of liquor in him to do it.
Yeah.
But so he's sitting there and he's had what
Uh,
7, 8, 9, I
seven,
don't
eight,
even
nine,
know, Long Island iced teas. Who knows
plus
how
a few
many tequila
shots.
shots, you know.
Yeah.
And he's sipping on a Long Island iced tea over there. And Snob says, of course, he wrote in with Snob and Sergeant Obnoxious. Snob's like, yeah, we got to go. It's time to go. And Gizzard looks him square in the eye. And he goes, F you. I'm not finished with my drink.
And he was very adamant about the FU part.
Very adamant about it. And I did. It's all I could do not to fall out of my chair. I like
No,
hearing that come from Gizzard's mouth.
it
And
was
there's the look on his
fantastic.
face. And more importantly, the look on Snob's face when he said it was
Yeah.
priceless. It was
No,
absolutely
it was
priceless. So,
it was awesome. That was a good one.
yeah, thanks for that, Gizzard, and I'll feel well that and for bringing it up tonight too. But yeah, that was a whole show on TriggerCon. How about that?
Wow. Miss Hot shout out there says Ghost Clover. Hello, fellas. What was your favorite memory with your mom and dad? That's going to take a lot more than what we have time left.
Well, we can absolutely answer if well, this is not the last Ghosted Clover, so
No, come in a couple weeks and maybe you guys we win the random topic and you can ask that for us.
yeah, because this is not an ask us anything. This is a
Yeah.
random viewer gets to pick a topic because we do have time constraints on this one, unfortunately. But maybe we should do some either separately or together or something. Do some ask anything stuff
Yeah.
at some point, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so let's close this one down, I guess, right?
Yeah, sure. What you got going on this week? You got anything going on with podcasts or videos? I know we both got a video coming up tomorrow morning, but other than that,
We do. So yeah, I got a ton of video obligations, right? We know that.
yeah,
So
right.
that's definitely coming down the line. As far as the podcast, I'm trying to think. Derek with Kids Safe Foundation will be the guest on the podcast on Wednesday.
Okay.
We'll find out what all new stuff he's up to, if he's written any more legislation or what all's going on. And then Amy Dillon
There you
scheduled
go.
for Thursday.
Nice.
So for those that are not familiar with Amy, doing a lot of 2A work, doing some competitive shooting, and she's a little bit of everything. So yeah, learn a little bit more about Derek, about Amy, about the organizations they're with, and all the cool stuff they're doing on Wednesday and Thursday. So trying to think if there's anything else. I can't think of anything.
Nice. No, I hear you. I hear you. We've got Dave from TriggerCon coming on the Armed Citizen podcast Tuesday night.
Ooh, more TriggerCon.
Well, this will be interesting because we'll be talking to someone who's behind the scenes and running it. I'd like to know, some of the ins and outs of how to run something like that. Kind of interesting conversation. We talk about the media side of these shows all the time and these events, but we don't really talk to people that actually put them on. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how they did all of that. And then obviously we'll be telling him not to hire that band ever again at the bar. Give him some criticism, our positive and feedback and constructive criticism. Obviously got video coming out tomorrow on the new item from EAA and Gerson. I think Saturday I've got what I think is actually the best rifle stock that has ever been created. The video on that coming out, it is truly incredible. I've had an absolute blast working with it. That video become dropping this later on this week. I'm not going to give any more away than that. Just be on the lookout. It's the best rifle stock ever created, in my opinion. If I could give a 5-gear rating on Gear Report, I would, but Jeff won't allow that, so it's probably gonna have to be like a 4.5 gear. But
4.5.
there's no such thing as a perfect one. Yeah.
No. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Gotta love Jeff.
Gotta love Jeff. But no, you guys, thanks for coming out here and watching this live. For the people that were out here live, the great conversation. If you're watching this in replay or listening in podcast form, we invite you to come and join the live discussion. You could not only just have fun hanging out with people, but you could also be part of it and may get chosen to do the random topic, the last segment. But thanks for, like Clover said earlier, thanks for supporting myself and Clover through Patreon, YouTube channel memberships, affiliate links, Amazon, or just showing up to shows like this and hanging out with this and telling your friends and sharing this and just being part of what we do on a weekly basis and all that. We do truly appreciate that. Anything else you want to bring up, Clove?
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Nice beaver.